Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh, and welcome to The Valiant Show, where we discuss different characters, personalities and their legacies from the school of the Ahlul Bayt and also their students and companions. Tonight we are doing part 2 and looking into the legacy of the 10th Imam, Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam. We were celebrating his birth, and inshallah if you are continuing to celebrate, may you go to the Husayniyah, your Imam Bargas, continue in the celebrations and the different services and lectures, inshallah. And above all else, please remember that the Imam of our time in your du'as. Joining myself is none other than Sayed Muhammad Ali Rizvi. Assalamu alaikum, Sayyidna.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah bless you.
Bless you
Habibi,
too.
Sayed Mohsin Naqawi.
Thank you very much. We were celebrating. We had a fantastic part 1 looking into the life of Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam. Inshallah, we're going to go in some more because, even after we, stopped filming, there was more discussions, there was more questions, there was a lot more contribution from Imam al-Hadi that a lot of people do not know about. But inshallah, tonight we're going to tackle and go through and dissect and discuss all of those different episodes in the life of Imam al-Hadi. With your permission, bismillah.
Inshallah, of course, anytime.
So last time we looked into a brief biography. We discussed Medina, his house being raided. We looked at Mutawakkil bringing him to Samarra and so forth. If it's okay with you, we didn't touch on the journey from Medina to Samarra. So a little bit about that, and then inshallah we'll go on to more of his tabligh, different, discussing different ideologies, things that we can learn from the Imam also. But for now, we know that there was a very, very difficult journey for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein from Medina to, Kufa, for Sayyidah Zainab salamu alayha from Karbala to Sham and back.
Yeah.
What was the journey like from a beautiful home, arguably the home of the Sayyids, our city and our home, Medina, to a dungeon, a prison like Samarra?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Absolutely, you've put it beautifully. All of the members, or Imams of Al-Muhammad and other members of Ahlul Bayt have some journey or another. You mentioned that of Sayyidah Zainab salamullahi alayha. You mentioned that of Imam Abi Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam.
Imam Rada.
Imam Rada alayhi salam, his famous journey to Khurasan. The hijrah of the Prophet
Sallallahu
alayhi wa from Mecca to Medina. Imam Ali alayhi salam, when he becomes caliph, he leaves Medina, he shifts to Kufa. So, and then the latter Imams were then, of course, taken. Imam Rada alayhi salam was taken to Khurasan. Imam Kadhim alayhi salam was taken to Baghdad, Kadhimiyya. And then, of course, you had Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam again to Baghdad. And the same thing now with Imam Ali al-Hadi alayhi salam, taking him to Samarra. Of course, Samarra is Surra man ra'a, the traditional name, which means pleased is the one who saw it, or the one who sees it. Surra man ra'a, became happy the one who saw it.
Okay, so
it was to be a beautiful city that used to please you.
It was beautiful, as in it looked nice.
Looked nice, beautiful city.
Okay.
And these cities were made. Abbasids actually built beautiful cities.
Okay.
Baghdad was built by the Abbasids.
Okay.
It's an Abbasid city, and it's known to be the city of bridges.
Yes, the river Tigris, I think it is, isn't it? The Baghdad River.
Tigris, yeah, Dajla, yeah. That runs through, anyway, it runs through Iraq. But the city itself is known for the bridges. And if you remember, Imam Kadhim alayhi salam's janazah was put on a bridge.
Yeah.
Ala Jisr al-Baghdad, on the bridge of Baghdad. So everybody had a journey, and there are narrations, there are historical facts and points, and we have some ahadith that come to us because of these journeys that took place and what happened throughout these journeys, and what are some of the narrations that have come to us. What happened with Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam was they came to arrest him. It was always a nice arrest, a respectable, because they didn't want to ignite the people of Medina.
So it was with dignity.
It was with dignity.
The Caliphate has requested your presence.
Your presence, yes. And then when they got there, they would always be imprisoned. And then eventually they would be killed. But they wanted to fool the people, you see. So that's how they fooled them. They came to get Imam Ali al-Hadi alayhi salam. Imam Hadi alayhi salam knew that he has to go.
Yeah.
Otherwise they will cause a fuss, they will cause a war, there will be bloodshed, and he didn't want bloodshed in Medina. And specifically they used to live in the area of Banu Hashim, where the Hashemites used to live, the Hashemiyin. So he said, I'll leave, but I need 3 days to prepare. They said, okay, fine, we'll honor that. We'll give you 3 days. In those 3 days, what does he do? He prepares for the journey. One of the guys who was on this trip, who had been sent, there'd been a delegation that was sent, a few hundred people, to go and get the Imam, right? One of them was a lover of the Ahlul Bayt.
Okay.
Might not be a Shia, but he had respect and he had love for Ahlul Bayt alayhim wassalatu wassalam. And some have said he was a Shia because a lot of Shias did jobs. You know, they had jobs here and there. Sometimes under the government as well, sometimes directly with the permission of the Imam. Like Ali ibn Yaqteen was a wazir. He had permission from Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam to work. But of course they were told, if you're going to work, then you must do it for the benefit of the Shia. You must help your own. So there was a person amongst them who was a lover of the Ahlul Bayt, salamullah alayhim ajma'in. What happened was the Imam was packing, and news spread that he's packing winter clothes with him.
Oh.
And so they started to wonder, why is he, it's the heat of the desert. You know, there's no way you'll need winter clothes. Why is he packing winter clothes? So they came to this muhib, this lover of Ahlul Bayt, and they would mock him and make fun of him. Your Imam is packing for the winter. It's July, you know, like summer.
Yeah.
It's the peak of the heat of the Arabian desert. And your Imam wants to pack for the winter. So he says, I was ashamed. I had nothing to say. He says, I don't know, but if he's doing it, there must be a reason. But I can't prove it to you. Anyway, 3 days later, the Imam comes out of his house, ready to undertake this journey to Samarra. So the people that made fun of the Imam, during one of the nights in the desert when they're camping, winds begin to blow.
Oh.
Clouds come together. And it leads to a storm of rain. And it gets so cold that the people begin to shiver.
Oh, wow.
The Imam alayhi salam brings out his winter clothes. He gives it to his, you know, those people who are with him, some of the Shia.
He distributes it with...
He distributes it to his Shia first.
Okay.
And then what's left over, he distributes to the enemy. Just like Imam Hussein alayhi salam gave water.
Yeah.
When Hor stopped him.
Yes.
And he gave water to everybody on that, on the camps, on the side of Yazid. So he gave it to whatever he had, he distributed it out. But next morning, at least 80 were dead.
Wow.
And they were the ones who had mocked the Imam. Why is he packing for the winter? He's not. What does that show you? That muhib, he said, I never after that day doubted that this man is the Imam from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was already, and he felt his honor restored after that. Right? So these are some of the narrations that have come to us with the Imam. And when they got there, they got to Baghdad before Samarra.
Okay.
This man who was in charge of bringing the caravan of Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam, his name was Yahya ibn Harthama. Yahya says, I went there, I met somebody called Ishaq. This Ishaq said to me when he looked at the Imam, he says, this is the grandson of the Prophet. If as much as a hair of his breaks, the Prophet will become your enemy. You have to face the Prophet. He says, no, I don't intend on anything bad. And then from there they entered Samarra. When they entered Samarra to ridicule the Imam, you know what they did? They said his house is not ready yet. Take him to that place where the fuqara sit. There was a specific place known as Khanu Sa'alik.
Okay.
This place was it's like imagine a hall where the poor people, you just dump him in there. You sit here.
Okay, like a shelter.
A shelter, yeah. You could call it a shelter.
They normally have it for, I think when there's like storms and tornadoes, everyone goes into this big, like shelter thing.
Yeah, but this is
No, no,
specifically for the lower class. You know, in shelters, anybody can go in there.
Yeah,
This
but
is
I understand.
This is specifically, you know, it's not appropriate for the Imam to be in there.
Yes.
He goes in there. They say once he's ready, we'll bring him out. This was particularly to try to degrade him, not to give him a high position. If he sits there, he's not important. To show the people he's nobody important. If he was, he would be up there.
Yeah.
He would be in the VIP class.
Yes.
Okay? Somebody comes to him from one of the Shia, they come to meet him there, and he becomes really upset. He says, Yabna Rasulullah, Sayyidi Mawlai, this isn't befitting for you. You should not be here. He says, Imam alayhi salam puts his hand on his eyes like this, and he just wipes his eyes and says, what do you see? He says, I didn't see that shelter anymore. I saw the Imam is sitting in gardens of paradise.
MashaAllah. Wow.
Miraculously, the Imam showed him his reality. He says, you see this, but this is what Allah has given us.
Wow.
In other words,
SubhanAllah.
when Allah, وَتُعِزُّ مَن تَشَاءُ وَتُذِلُّ مَن تَشَاءُ, when Allah gives honor and izzah, no one can ridicule that person who has been honored by Allah. And if somebody has been ridiculed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no one can give him honor.
True.
And so that's how they came. Mutawakkil did that on purpose. Why? To try to degrade him, to dishonor him, to belittle him, to make him seem insignificant and small to the world. And then he says, once we finally bring him in the next day, when Mutawakkil sees him, the haiba, the aura was such that Mutawakkil stood out of respect.
Wow.
So this is how he reached Samarra, this army town, this rank of, where of course army town means strict surveillance.
Yes.
And from here on, his life would go downhill.
MashaAllah, Sayyidina. Sayyidina, every Imam has a theological discussion, theological debate. We've seen it, you know, with Imam Muhammad Baqir, Imam Sadiq were teaching their students. Famously, Imam Radha in the court of Ma'mun debating different scholars from different backgrounds, some even in their own language, coming from all parts of the world and so forth. Was this the same with Imam al-Hadi? What were the different ideologies or the different theological statements or premises that were popular? And did the Imam agree or disagree? How did he, you know, refute the mainstream ideologies that were present at the time?
It's interesting, you mentioned a point just before I answer the question. Did you know the Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam spoke in the Hindi language?
I'm not surprised. I think it's a hadith from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam that even the Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam knew 70 languages, how to read and write, when they used to mock him that he was illiterate. So that he could read and write 70, and 70 meant hundreds, thousands,
all
many.
of them. Yeah. Same thing with Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam. Abu Hashim al-Ja'fari narrates this. He says, I saw the Imam speak in Hindi or Sindhi.
Really?
Yeah, Indian language. Of course, at that time it was Hind, right?
Yes.
And people used to come mainly from Sindh.
Southern part of Pakistan, where it's
so it's now in Pakistan, yes. So the Imam alayhi salam spoke in Turkish.
Okay.
Yeah.
MashaAllah.
Because Samarra actually was made for the Turks.
Okay.
Because the troops at that time was Turkish troops. So the Turkish population was increasing in Samarra. There were soldiers, there were troops, there were officers who were under the caliphate, who would defend the caliphate. And there was a lot of them. So for them, this office was built. This city was built for these officers. And so Imam, with Turkish troops, we have narrations, Imam al-Hadi would speak with them in Turkish.
I see.
He would speak in Sindhi, in the Hindi language. Abu Hashim says, Yabna Rasulullah, how do you speak this language? You know, he picked up a stone, Imam al-Hadi picked up a small pebble, he put it into his mouth.
Okay.
And he takes it out, he says to Abu Hashim, place it into your mouth.
So he put his saliva on it?
Put his saliva on it, now place it in your mouth. Abu Hashim says, I placed it in my mouth, and when I took it out, I could speak over 70 languages.
MashaAllah, wow.
It was something in the saliva of the Imam.
Yes.
Just like Rasulullah, his lu'ab, his saliva had shifa,
Yeah, 100%.
had cure. When Imam Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam came in Khaybar with the infection of the eye, he placed his saliva.
Put his saliva on it, yes.
Rasulullah would throw his saliva into a well, the well would become sweet drinking water, hard water would become sweet. The saliva of the Prophet would heal wounds. This is the son of the Prophet, the blood and flesh and the bones of the Prophet.
أحسنتم.
لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي.
بشك.
Now to get to your question, there was all sorts of ideas. You know, sometimes now we think that so many ideas, so many divisions.
Scientology and, you know, there's a guy who
Sect
claims to be the
within a
Mahdi and this and that. Yeah, exactly.
Sect within a sect, division within divisions.
Mm.
So even at that time, there was a lot of divisions. And the Imam would combat that, especially if they're theological, because it is the job of the Imam that he has to answer.
Yes.
He has to provide hidayah. He has to provide the right information. Otherwise, people are listening to them. So who did the Imam debate? He debated many. Like his grandfather Ali Rida alayhi salam. Like Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam in the court of al-Ma'mun, Yahya ibn Aktham and others. Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam did the same. He combated deviant theological schools like the Ghulat.
Okay.
Nusayris, you know the Ghulat? The ones who considered the Imams to be a god, a deity.
So that was there at the time of the Imams as well. So Ghulat, Ghulu is nothing, I thought it was very recent, but the last 200, 300, 400 years, but you're saying it's even further back.
The Ghulat go back in history. Some narrations say it's back as far back as Amir al-Mu'mineen.
Wow.
Some say Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, Imam al-Sadiq. But definitely Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam, the Imam curses them. The Imam instructs people to boycott them. Some of the narration says, Imam says, if you see them, pick up a stone and throw it at them.
Oh, wow.
That's how
Very
much
harsh.
the Imams would dissociate with those who worship the Imams, or consider them deity, consider them a god. And so, we have in narrations numerous traditions where he opposes the Ghulat. He speaks out against them. He speaks out against the leaders, and he curses them. He does la'an on them, tabarri. That we're not from them, they're not from us. This is not us. Our way is through Tawheed, Risala, and Imamah. We are the Imams of al-Muhammad. But this is not the way. So these are one of the ways he would deal with the Asha'ira, with the Mu'tazila, with the Jabriyun. You know the ones that say everything is predestined.
Okay.
There's no free will. Man is free. So if you sin, it's because God destined you to sin.
Yes, yes.
They put the sin on God.
Yeah.
We sin, but we put it on God, you know. The Imams would oppose that. It's like what Yazid said to Sayyidah Zainab salamullahi alayha when she came to his court. It wasn't me that killed Hussein. It was planned in Allah's plan. He tried to put it on Allah. What did Sayyidah Zainab say? May Allah curse the one who killed my brother. It's not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is you. You are free in that.
Yes.
Some things are chosen for you. Your parents are chosen for you.
Yes.
Your siblings are chosen for you. Your ethnicity is chosen for you.
Yeah, where you were born, the city you were raised in. Yeah, yeah.
But then there are certain things that you choose.
Indeed.
You choose your madhab, you choose your religion, you choose to follow a specific sect, you choose to be who you are. So these, and then there was the fitna of the khalq of Quran. There was a big fitna of this. Is the Quran created, or is it qadim? Is it eternal? And this led to a fitna. There was a big debate on this. The Imams would, in their own right time and space, they would challenge these sort of ideologies. And it was the right for the Imam to do that.
Yes.
Because the right ideology, the right aqidah is with Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salatu
Ahsant.
wassalam. So this is inshallah just a brief outline of what sort of theological schools that exist that were deviant and how the Imam would combat them. He'd speak out against them, raise awareness about them. Do not follow them. Do not go there. This is ilm. Here is where you find the ulum of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
So the Imam is where he can, because we know he's under house arrest and so forth, but he's discussing and having dialogue with these different ideologies, these different schools of thought and so forth, and correcting them as he is, the chosen, divinely appointed and divinely chosen guide. How did, the Imam teach? What was his different methods? Was there any writings or any works of his that we have till today?
Excellent question. And actually, the Imam has left us with a treasure of a ziyarah that contains all of our aqaid in it.
Really?
Tawheed, Adl, Nabuwa, Imama, Qiyamah, everything. In tafsil, mufassal, in detail.
So I know Imam Sajjad is known for teaching through dua.
Du'as. He's known for his ada'iyya. Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam is known for his ziyarah.
Wow.
What is the ziyarah? The ziyarah is Jami'ah al-Kabira.
Jami'a al-Kabira.
It is considered one of the most authentic of our ziyarat.
Really?
One of the most authentic of our ziyarat. Ziyarat Jami'ah al-Kabira. And the other thing that makes the ziyarah so special is that you can recite this in the haram of any of the imams.
Really? MashaAllah.
Yeah. So for example, you go to the haram of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein, you have a specific ziyarah.
Yeah.
Ziyarat Waritha, Ziyarat Ashura,
Shura,
Ziyarat Imam Hussein. You go to the shrine of Abul Fadl Abbas, you have a ziyarah
Abu
makhsus,
Fadl,
khas
yeah.
for him. You go to Najaf, Ziyarat Aminullah, or other ziyarat for Imam Ali alayhi salam. Same thing with Rasulullah and others.
Sallallahu alayhi.
But if there is one ziyarah, the ulama say, if there's one ziyarah that you can recite in every haram of each and every member of the Imams of Al Muhammad and others, it is Ziyarat al-Jami'ah.
MashaAllah.
In other words, it is a collective ziyarah of all of Ahlul Bayt. Okay? Why is it so important? It's the most authentic of our ziyarat.
Yes.
2, it contains all of our aqaid. You know ziyarat, right? I always say this. Ziyarat are not just to be read as a lip service.
Okay.
The ziyarah contains your aqidah. Our aqidah is based on
Yes.
ziyarat.
Yeah.
Alongside the Quran and Hadith, of course. Our aqidah is based on ziyarat. Read the words that the Imam uses in there. Read the ma'rifah that the Imam is trying to give you here. How do you address the Ahlul Bayt? Ya Ahl Bayt al-Nabuwa, Ma'dan al-Risala. Or the family of the Prophet. Or the source of Risala. Or the source of ilm, knowledge. How the Imam explains their creation. You are from one light, you are from one nur. Bikum yunazzilul ghayth. Because of you, Allah sends down rain.
Yeah, MashaAllah. 100%.
It is as at your command the clouds drop the raindrops. It is because of you the earth gives out its treasures. It's because of you, O Ahlul Bayt, the trees give fruit.
Wow.
This ziyarah contains, it's an ocean of ma'rifah. Ulama have written tafasir on this. Ulama have written volumes on this. This is how important this ziyarah is. That the scholars have literally taken each and every line and dissected it, opened it up, explained it, and tried to get out that sea, that ocean of ma'rifah of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad that existed. So this is ma'rifah of the ma'soom from the ma'soom himself.
MashaAllah.
This is what makes the ziyarah so special. The titles, the names, the explanations, the creation of Ahlul Bayt, the reality of Ahlul Bayt, the fadila of Ahlul Bayt. This is directly. So this is not like from a ghali who may do his. And by the way, some have said this ziyarah contains ghulu in it.
Okay.
Yeah. Some have said because of how high the Imams have been praised, like some of the things I've just said. Some have said there is ghulu in this. But it comes directly from the Imam. And if it comes directly from the Imam, it's not ghulu, it's haqiqah.
Yes.
So this is how he taught the people. He gave them something, read this, and try to understand this. How are you calling the Imam? Masabih ad-duja, the lanterns of guidance, the source of knowledge, the household of the Prophet, created from that light,
MashaAllah.
that nur of Muhammad.
MashaAllah.
You know, if you want to receive fadail being recited by Imam himself, Ziyarat Jami'ah. And there is tawalla in it and tabarra in it.
MashaAllah.
So everything is in there. From Tawheed to the Risala, to the Imama, to Tawalli, Tabarri, everything is in there.
Wow.
It is to keep it short, it is the Shia doctrine.
Really?
That's how I would put it.
MashaAllah. Fantastic, Sayyid. I think it's something we need to familiarize ourselves with, the ziyarah, inshallah, and learn more. From one ziyarah to another, we know that the ziyarah of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, it is very, very important. And people have been going, since the Imams have been going to the ziyarah of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein in Karbala. In the time under the regime of Mutawakkil, what was it like to do the ziyarah of Imam Hussein alayhi salam?
Maybe you could compare it to the ziyarah of Imam Hussein under the regime of Saddam. Perhaps worse, right? Because ziyarah under Mutawakkil was no ziyarah basically. It was probably the most difficult time for ziyarah.
So, you mean it was banned?
It was banned.
Oh wow, Allah.
If under Saddam you could go, under Mutawakkil you could not go at all without getting killed, without paying a penalty for it. What was the penalty? A chop of an arm.
Oh.
There was tax. And that did not stop the lovers of Ahlul Bayt. Nothing stopped the lovers. Even under Saddam, the lovers of Ahlul Bayt would find a way. They would risk their lives. They had seen Mutawakkil. Saddam was a piece of cake for them. They had seen tyrants. They had seen the likes of Harun, Mansur al-Dawaniqi. Right? They had seen these people. He realized they won't stop. He imposed a ban on it. He realized they won't stop. He said, okay, fine. Let's destroy the qabr of Hussein.
Allahu Akbar.
That's why some people say that sometimes Bani al-Abbas are worse than Bani Umayyah. Because Bani Umayyah killed Imam Hussein. What does a grave do to you? Why did you destroy the grave? Not once, up to 4 and 5 times it says he destroyed the qabr of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He had it destroyed. Get rid of it. Get rid of even the sign. There should be no sign of it. Flatten it. You know? Dig the ground. You know, put seeds into the ground. Make it into a farmland. Totally remove the idea of ziyarah. No one should even be able to identify where Imam Hussein alayhi salam. This is how difficult it was under al-Mutawakkil. And now, if that wasn't enough, he redirected the river, the al-Qami.
Oh.
He said, let me bring the river around. So we redirected, so the water flows over the grave of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. So he redirected the river, diverted the river, dug the ground. And as the water began to flow towards the grave of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, do you know what happened? The water splits around the grave.
Oh.
And encircles the grave.
MashaAllah. SubhanAllah.
This is what they call the ha'ir.
Mm.
And hence the people are from Karbala, they're also known as ha'iri.
Yeah, close to the shrine.
The shrine. So it formed this circle. In other words, as if the water was making tawaf of the Qabr al-Hussein. But the question, when he wanted to destroy the grave of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam, the Muslims backed away. They said, this we can't do. This is the grandson of the Prophet. This is not easy. This is a difficult task. People started to step back. Nobody came forward. Do you know who came forward? A Jew.
Oh, wow.
Historians say there was a Jew who agreed to destroy the grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So historically, it was actually a Jew whose name is mentioned in history, that this person came forward and participated with the others to destroy the grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam. But I say that at that time, at least some of the workers had some shame, you know. They didn't want to destroy the grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. But what makes you sad is that there are Muslims today who have destroyed Jannatul Baqi.
Yes.
They are Muslims. And that's what I'll say on that.
Wow.
But in a nutshell, ziyarah under Mutawakkil was a life and death situation. However, after Mutawakkil, even then people went, they used to come at night, they used to sneak at night. And they used to put like a stone where Imam Hussein's grave is. So even then they didn't stop. You cannot stop the ziyarah of Imam Hussein.
Yeah.
You know what Sayyida Zainab says to Imam Sajjad alayhi salam after Ashura? My son Sajjad, by God, I see this grave, pointing to Imam Hussein alayhi salam in that area in Karbala. I see here will be a grave. And I see that it will only grow in glamour. It will only grow. I see it in the years. It's growing in attraction. It's growing in gaining attention. It's growing in attracting the masses. In other words, the azadari and latam and matam and ziyarah, it's only going to grow. This is the promise of Sayyidah Zainab salamullahi alayha. And we have this in the books like Kamilu Ziyarat and others.
Wow.
So, but after Mutawakkil, the people pushed back on ziyarah. And so the dome was rebuilt and they pushed back on it. But when he destroyed the grave of Imam Hussein, people would write in the streets, on the walls. People would, like in some of the countries, they write on the walls.
Yeah.
They write on the walls that this is the Yazid of Banu Umayyah. He did what Yazid would do, destroying the grave.
So they already started to rebel, riot, political.
Yeah, these were the, of course, these were the Shia. They were Hashemeen, they were Shia, they were lovers of Ahlul Bayt who were against this sort of thing. Yeah.
When it comes to Imam Hadi alayhi salam, under strict supervision and monitoring and so forth, he still had a job to do, and he did it very silently, not seeking fame, not seeking attention and so forth. I mean, how impactful is that for us today, to that we can make a change without making noise and commotion?
Absolutely. So this is the key to his movement. That any movement to come does not necessarily need to make noise. Sometimes there's more noise than there is work.
Yeah.
Yes? Sometimes there's just noise. Okay?
No work.
And no work. This could happen, yeah. But the Imam teaches the importance of work. Let your work and your actions speak for you. Actions speak louder than
Words.
And so we find that in the life of the Imams. The Imam didn't want fame. They tried to, they ransacked his house. They found nothing. They thought they'll find weapons. Anytime uprising now, they'll rebel. There'll be a revolution. They found nothing. Imam put his trust in God and he did his work. He taught people the aqaid. He trained students. He taught them the pure Muhammadan Islam, the Alawi Islam, the Fatimi Islam, the Hassani and the Husseini Islam. Not the Islam of Saqifa.
Yes.
Imam was anti-Saqifa, against who was in Saqifa and those who support Saqifa. And this is why there was always a rift. Because here you had the followers and the sons of Saqifa.
Yeah.
On this side you had the son of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. But the Imam did his job. Imam Ali alayhi salam didn't want fame. He sat at home 25 years or so while the Khulafa ruled. He quietly wrote and compiled the Quran, tafsir and ta'wil of the Quran. He got on with his work while others made noise. What can we learn from it? Efficiency of work. What I'm doing, how efficient is it? What I'm doing, how constructive is it for the deen, for the legacy of the Ahlul Bayt? You know what the hadith says? Rahimallahu abdan man ahya amrana. Imam Rida alayhi salam says to Aba Salt al-Harawi, Ya Aba Salt, Rahimallahu abd. May Allah have mercy on the abd. Man ahya amrana, the one who upholds our legacy. Ya Ibna Rasulillah, and how do we uphold your legacy? The Imam says, Ya Aba Salt, learn our ulum and teach it to the people.
Yeah.
Learn our knowledge, pass it to the people. And if only the people know the beauty of our speech, they will flock to us. They'll run to us. The Imams of Ahlul Bayt taught this, upholding the legacy. And this is why the best of deeds are the ones done with sincerity.
True, 100%. True.
The volunteers that work, you see around Muharram approaches, there are more volunteers than ever in the year. There are programs like yourself behind the scenes, there are brothers who are working. Hard work, quietly, with sincerity, is enough for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At the end of the day, Allah who gives name.
Yes.
It is Allah who gives fame. People can give fame, but that is not a fame which is by Allah. And so it's not of much use. May Allah bless us all, inshaAllah, with this tawfiq.
Inshallah. Fantastic, Sayyidina. Sayyidina, we're coming to the end of the show. And your last answer was absolutely beautiful in regards to making noise, having sincerity in your actions, in your work. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that gives fame. And even though you may have fame because you may have fame that you don't recognize in this dunya, but you might be famous amongst the angels. You may be famous amongst, in the heavens and so forth, and not on the dunya for your deeds and so forth. So what advice do you have to the youth today? And it's not an easy time that we're living in right now, Sheikh. Now, very different to when me and you were both at Hawza, very different to when me and you were both at school. In terms of the Shia are getting attacked left, right and center when it comes to our madhab, our aqaid. Even we have a lot of Shia brothers in our community at a very vulnerable age, confused with their own Shia, rather than what's going on outside with other madhabs as well, and so forth. And there are some youth, and there are some, when I mean youth, I mean also people in their 30s and 40s and so forth, who want to make a change, who have the power to make change within themselves, within their families, within their communities. So what advice do you have for them in regards to the legacy of Imam al-Hadi and what Imam al-Hadi has taught us through silence, through sincerity and hard work, not making too much noise, but make sure that, you're doing your work properly?
Well, firstly, I wouldn't say he's a silent Imam. Because we have narrations from him, we have reports from him. He has students, and what the students speak is what they have learned from him. So he's not silent. There's a way that he, if you like, brings his message to the masses. What can we learn? Is the work never stops. How can we get rid of all of this? How can we get rid of the confusion? Stick to the Imam of Ali al-Hadi alayhi salam. Stick to it. Why are people sometimes confused, heading away? You said some people are confused with their own Shia identity. It's because of lack of understanding of Imamah itself. Haven't understood Imamah, haven't grasped the reality of Imamah and the Imams of Ahlul Bayt. Because our sincerity is our identity is Imamah. Of course, through Tawheed and Risala. But our identity, our point where we split from the rest of the Ummah, is Imamah of Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salatu wasalam. So for us, work for the sake of Imamah, work for the Imam. Like he worked for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have a legacy that if we have access to social media, let's use that quietly. We don't have to put our name on it. It could be anonymous, a pen name, if you like.
Yeah.
Something that no one knows about. Anonymous account with not your real name. But the work gets done. You see these companions of the Imams gave their lives. If we can't give our lives and we're not in that situation where nobody's cutting out our tongue for praising the Imams, at least we can give our time and sweat for khidmah. Khidmah of Imam Ali al-Hadi alayhi salam, for his deen. What he could not say because he was silenced, I can say now because I'm not silenced. You be the tongue of the Imam. You be the lisan of the Imam. You be a representative in your own capacity. You said he was silenced because he was silenced. He couldn't say a lot of the things. Let us now take that message to the masses. How many people know Imam Ali al-Hadi alayhi salam? Not many people. In the Sunni world, if you say Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq, everybody would know him.
Yeah.
If you say Imam Ali, Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein, everybody would know him. Even if you say Imam Rida alayhi salam, people would know. But when it comes to Imam Ali al-Hadi alayhi salam, majority of them would have no idea, no clue. It is our responsibility to get that Ali al-Hadi alayhi salam that we know out to the masses, out to the people. With sincerity, with silence. We don't have to make noise. But it is a responsibility on each and every Shi'i of Imam Ali al-Hadi alayhi salatu wasalam to take that message, to take his name, his characteristics, his adab, his akhlaq, his teachings, his ma'rifah to the world. And then you will see that his beauty will attract the masses themselves. Inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you so much, Sayed Muhammad Ali Rizvi. We've had an amazing two-part discussion on the life of Imam Hadi alayhi salam, and inshallah we'll see you very, very soon again on the channel. Thank you to all the viewers for joining us on this episode, and that concludes our two-part series on Imam Hadi alayhi salam. Stay tuned for The Valiant, where we'll be discussing more personalities and more characters through the history of the Ahlul Bayt, inshallah, only on Imam Hussein TV 3. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.